How's it going, guys? It's K Cars, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the brand new 2022 Ford Bronco Raptor. I'm going to give you guys the facts about the new Bronco Raptor, and then also talk about some of my opinions about the vehicle, as well as where it's going to go in the future. So just to start off here, you guys have probably all seen pictures of the base model Bronco, also pictures of the Bronco Raptor. I think it's a huge improvement when you compare it to the base model Bronco, especially the Bronco Sport. So just to start out here, the new Bronco Raptor does come with a 3-liter EcoBoost Turbo V6, produces around 400 horsepower, and it has a 10-speed automatic transmission. With that 10-speed transmission, I do think it is good to have more gears in an automatic like that, but I think a lot of enthusiasts would prefer to have a manual option with the Bronco Raptor. I think the 10-speed is an improvement just because you can stay in the power band longer, and it's just more efficient to have a 10-speed transmission like that. But when you compare it to the standard Bronco, that one actually had the 2.3 liter, which had around 275 horsepower, or you could also get one with the 2.7 liter, which had around 315 horsepower. You can also compare it to the Ford F-150 Raptor. That one actually has a 3.5 liter EcoBoost, which has around 450 horsepower. And I do think it probably would have been better to maybe include the F-150 Raptor engine in the Bronco Raptor. I think it would have been cool to have more power, you know, have that 3.5 liter EcoBoost with around 450 horsepower versus what it has now at around 400 horsepower. I think that F-150 Raptor engine could make it a bigger competitor to the Wrangler 392. And when you compare the Bronco Raptor to the new Wrangler 392, which I'm a huge fan of, by the way, it can be seen as a little bit of a disappointment because of the engine and the power level maybe. You know, they're both great off-road vehicles. Obviously, the Wrangler 392 has a 6.4 liter V8, which I think is awesome. Bronco is also a little bit cheaper than the 392 Wrangler. So it actually starts out at around $70,000, and the Wrangler 392 starts out around $80,000. So around a $10,000 difference between the base starting prices when you compare the new Bronco Raptor to the new 392 Jeep. You compare that to some of the other trim levels of the Bronco. We can compare that to the Sasquatch trim level of the standard Bronco, and that starts out around $50,000. So if you want to step up from the Sasquatch up to the Bronco Raptor, then you're looking at a price increase of around $20,000, which, you know, seems pretty steep to me in my opinion. But you also are getting a lot more vehicle for that money. Another thing that is important to mention about the Bronco Raptor is that it is only offered with a hardtop, and you can only get it with a 4-door. So there's no 2-door option with the Bronco Raptor like you did have with the standard Bronco trims. That's also something similar to the Jeep Wrangler 392, because that Jeep is also offered in only a 4-door option. Of course, with the Bronco Raptor, it is aimed more towards off-road enthusiasts, which I think is awesome. Of course, it is pretty expensive, but I think it would make a great off-road vehicle. The Bronco Raptor is officially supposed to go on sale spring, and the deliveries to the dealerships are supposed to be expected this summer. The difference between the Bronco Raptor and the 392 Wrangler is that the Bronco has 2-wheel drive high, 4-wheel drive automatic, 4-wheel drive high, and 4 low. So when you compare that to the 392 Jeep, the Jeep only has 4-wheel drive option. So there's no 2-wheel drive in the Jeep. Not really sure why they did that. Maybe so we wouldn't be doing a bunch of burnouts in that Jeep in 2-wheel drive. But that's one advantage of having the Bronco Raptor, is that you do have that option to keep it in only 2-wheel drive if you want to. And the Jeep 392 only has 4-wheel drive automatic, 4 high, and 4 low, so there's no 2-wheel drive option. Of course, the Bronco Raptor will also have front and rear diff lockers, as well as a sway bar disconnect. It also has a Dana 44 front axle and a Dana 50 rear axle. Now, something else about the Bronco Raptor is that it does have 2 interior trim levels. So one is more basic, that has rubberized floors instead of carpet floors. That's aimed more at the off-road crowd because, you know, if you're going to be bringing in mud, it's much easier to clean off a rubber floor than a carpet floor. The other interior option is going to be the premium trim level, and that's going to include actual carpet floors, also some nicer seats, which I believe do include suede inserts, which I think look really good. Now that we got all the basic info out of the way, I did want to talk about all the upgrades that you get with the Bronco Raptor over the standard Bronco. So first of all, you can't help but to notice those huge off-road tires that come standard on the Bronco Raptor. So those are actually 37-inch tires, and they are standard on the Bronco Raptor, which I think is amazing that the Bronco Raptor actually comes with 37-inch off-road tires, like completely from the factory, completely stock. Those are actually the largest tires that have been put on a production level SUV in North America ever, which is awesome again. With those wider tires, they do have to make the Bronco Raptor a little bit wider than the standard standard Bronco. It's actually around 10 inches wider than the base model of the Bronco, which is, 10 inches doesn't really seem like much, but if you look at the Bronco Raptor, you can definitely tell automatically that it is much wider, much bigger. So I think it's really good to have that, much wider stance. I think it makes it look a whole lot meaner that way. Also does have 13.1 inches of ground clearance, which is, I think it's amazing to have that much ground clearance in an off-road oriented vehicle. 13.1 inches, that's about 5 inches more than the base model of the Bronco. So of course, huge upgrade right there, and you can automatically tell that the Bronco Raptor is definitely an off-road oriented vehicle. Also do have an upgraded Fox suspension, which gives you more travel all around. That's good if you're going to be doing any kind of high-speed drives in the dunes maybe, or if you're doing any kind of rock crawling where you need to articulate or flex the suspension a lot. So that high travel suspension is going to really help out with that. With that upgraded suspension, you do have about 5 inches more travel than the base Bronco, which once again does help out a lot with suspension flex when you're doing off-road activities. So then moving on to the actual track width of the Bronco Raptor, it's actually about 8 inches wider than the base model of the Bronco. So once again, having that wider stance definitely makes it more stable when you're doing any kind of high-speed driving, or if you're on an incline maybe, it just makes it a lot easier and a lot safer just so you don't flip over. And something else that's cool about the Bronco Raptor when you compare it to the standard Bronco is that it does have crossbars on the interior, which are basically just bars that go from one side to the next, and it basically increases the rigidity of the Bronco Raptor by 50% when you compare it to the standard Bronco, which of course, once again, huge improvement over the standard Bronco. So something else that I thought was pretty interesting about the Bronco Raptor is that it does have different exhaust modes. Now, in my opinion, I'm not really sure why you would want to have different exhaust modes for an EcoBoost V6. If it was a V8 like the Jeep Wrangler 392, then yeah, I would, I think it's really good to have exhaust valves if you want to make your exhaust quiet or loud in a V8, but for a V6, I don't really see a point in giving it different exhaust modes. Something else that makes the Bronco Raptor a lot better for off-road enthusiasts is that they might be offering beadlock wheels on the Bronco Raptor. So of course, if you're going off-roading or doing any kind of serious off-roading or driving in the sand, driving in the snow, you guys know it's a pretty good idea to air down your tires and lower the PSI in your tires to, have more surface area and get more traction that way. One risk when you do that is that your tire could actually kind of disconnect from the actual wheel. Now, that's what beadlock wheels are good for, because they actually secure your tires to the actual wheels, so you can air down even more if you have beadlock wheels that way. So I think it's really cool that, you can get a Bronco Raptor Sport with beadlock wheels straight from the factory, completely stock. So I think that's a really cool addition to the Bronco Raptor as well. Something else with the Raptor is that it does have a stronger frame, and it also does have larger drive shafts for increased torque. And of course, that's compared to the standard Bronco as well. It also does have better brakes because you do have more horsepower. So with more horsepower, of course, you're going to have to be able to stop a little bit better as well, because you might be going a little bit too fast with that V6. Also does come standard with LED headlights and amber running lights, which, if you guys are familiar with the Ford F-150 Raptor, you guys probably all know they have those 3 little amber dots on the front. So the Ford Bronco Raptor actually also does have those 3 running lights on the front as well. That's actually a requirement from the government. Because it's so wide, it does have to have those 3 amber running lights. The Bronco Raptor does also have a new tow mode. So, if you're going out to the woods or to the forest, you can tow maybe an ATV or a UTV or a snowmobile behind your Bronco Raptor. I think that's also a huge improvement over the standard Bronco. Now, the standard Bronco had a towing capacity of about 3,500, and the Bronco Raptor has a towing capacity of around 4,500 pounds. So you have 1,000 more pounds of towing capacity with the Bronco Raptor. Of course, the Raptor also does have Baja mode, but it is upgraded to eliminate turbo lag as much as possible. And the way that works is that it actually lets the exhaust flow when you're off the throttle, and that keeps the turbo spinning, so whenever you're ready to go, they're already spinning and there is minimal lag that way. So of course, that means that you do have better throttle response, because if you're not waiting for the turbo to spool up, then then, you know, you can basically have power a lot quicker that way if you don't have to wait for the turbo to actually spool up, and you don't have that turbo lag that way. If you actually already have an order placed for a standard Bronco, good news for you is that you can actually cancel that order and automatically upgrade it to a Bronco Raptor, which I think is pretty cool. As for my opinion on the Bronco Raptor, I do think it is a huge improvement over the standard Bronco, and especially the Bronco Sport. Would I own one? Probably not. I would definitely want to get a Jeep Wrangler 392 over the Bronco Raptor because, you know, I'm a huge fan of that Hemi V8. I would love to have a 392 in a Wrangler, and I'm also a huge fan of Jeeps in general. If you guys are new to the channel, I'm currently in my 2001 Jeep Cherokee XJ, which I have been trying to restore for the past 2 years. So, you know, I am a huge fan of Jeeps, especially, you know, off-road oriented Jeeps. One thing I do like about the Bronco Raptor and just the Bronco in general is that I do like the fact that they kind of just made it a more modern version of the original older Bronco. I do like that they kept those original body styles, kind of made it more of a rectangular shape instead of giving it a bunch of rounded edges. And, you know, that's one thing that Jeep was not able to do with the Cherokee. So you guys know with the old XJ, it was very rectangular, very, you know, it had a lot of edges, and with the brand new Cherokee, it looks like a whale to me. It doesn't look anything like the old XJ, which I am not a fan of at all, of the new Cherokee. I love the way the XJs look. I'm not a fan at all of how the new Cherokees look. And I really do wish that Jeep would bring back the, you know, XJ design and make it a more modern Cherokee, but I really don't think they're gonna do that. That is one thing that I do like that Ford did with the Bronco, is that they kept it similar to the original old Bronco, but just made it a more modern version of it. So, you know, I am a fan of the Bronco Raptor, but I don't think I would actually want to own one. You know, I would want to own one, but not over a Jeep Wrangler 392. So that's just my opinion on the Bronco Raptor, and the main reason for that is because you can get a V8 with the Jeep Wrangler, even if it's only like $10,000 more. I do think that's justifiable to have a 392 in a Jeep. I also just like the looks better of the Jeep Wrangler 392. I think it looks, you know, it looks overall bigger than the Bronco Raptor, which of course isn't really a good thing for off-roading, but I just looked at more like beefed up look of the Jeep when you compare it to the Bronco Raptor. I just think the Jeep kind of looks more like a tank than the Bronco, which I love. Now, as for the future of the Bronco Raptor, I do think that, you know, it will be a good investment as a vehicle. If you guys have been keeping up with the market of the Broncos, then, you know, those things are going for over 100,000 in some places that I've seen. And if they're offering the Bronco Raptor at a base price of around $70,000, you can only expect the value of those to skyrocket even more than the standard Broncos did. You know, assuming the Bronco Raptor will be the highest trim level that they will make of the Broncos, that's going to be the trim level that's the most desirable. So that's going to be the one that goes up in value the most. Now I can compare that to the C7 Corvette ZR1. Those things base starting out were around $120,000 to $140,000, I think, and now they're going for around $250,000. So that just shows you, you know, if a vehicle manufacturer makes a big change, like making the engine going from front to a mid-engine, like they did with the C8, the generations before that are going to be up in value, especially for the desirable ones like the C7 ZR1. So, you know, the same thing is happening with the Bronco. You guys have seen, you know, dealerships are marking those up to crazy amounts, over $100,000 from what I've seen. So that's double the price if you are looking at a Sasquatch trim level. You know, if those sold for $50,000 MSRP and now they're selling for $100,000, and the Bronco Raptor is supposed to be going for $70,000, you can only expect what's going to happen with the Raptor trim level. So I do think getting a Bronco Raptor will be a very good investment, even if you don't even plan to, you know, off-road it or drive it. I do think the Bronco Raptor will definitely hold its value and be well worth it in the future, you know, once everything goes electric. I think, you know, a lot of cars are like that these days. So I do think that the Bronco Raptor is definitely a good buy for, you know, basically anybody. And we can even compare that to my Jeep Cherokee XJ that I have right here. I got this thing for $3,500, and just 2 years later I could probably sell this thing for around $15,000 to $20,000. Now, of course, I have put a lot of money and work into this Jeep, but, you know, I would still make a profit if I did decide to sell it. So that just shows you how crazy, you know, these desirable vehicles go up in value. And I think, you know, now since we're basically at the edge of bridging the gap between gas-powered cars and electric cars, I think these years of vehicles, especially the new ones that are being produced in these years around, 2022, 2023, I think these are going to be going up the most in value, especially for the desirable cars. Now, if you're just getting like, I don't know, a Honda Civic or a Toyota Camry in 2023 before those go electric, then, they're obviously not going to skyrocket as much as something like a 392 Wrangler or a Bronco Raptor will, because those vehicles are more desirable than, any old practical vehicle. So just my 2 cents on what I think is going to happen with the Bronco Raptor, and also just my opinions that I wanted to give you guys about the vehicle as well. I do think it's going to be a great vehicle, a great off-road vehicle, and I think it would be a great buy for anybody. So if I missed anything in this video, or if you guys want to add anything, definitely comment down below. And if you guys have any questions, definitely comment those down below as well. And if you guys have any video suggestions for videos you would like to see in the future, make sure to drop those down in the comments below as well. And if you guys liked this video or found it entertaining, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.